Mankind, like many species before it, has sought a simple answer to the complex question of its purpose, of its origin. So it was when an alien device was discovered within the Gulf of Mexico, a device whose arrival coincided with the mass extinction of the dinosaurs, and with knowledge that such a discovery was seemingly being suppressed by the government, that minds grew curious. A team was brought together to study the artifact, which came to be dubbed the Black Marker. Its seemingly limitless power, its ability to bring forth friends and loved ones long dead, and the voice which spoke to them all, found the crew beginning to split into believers and non-believers. Of them, a single individual rose to greater prominence, one Michael Altman, whom in subsequent centuries would be dubbed the Unwilling Prophet, as he was able to bear the message of the marker without ill effects. With time, the station fell into open violence. Nearly all aboard perished. The station was destroyed and the marker was lost for a time. Its potential would not be forgotten. In the immediate aftermath, Altman would be killed. The circumstances of his death are somewhat in question. To some, he was a martyr killed by a corrupt government. To critics, his death served as the foundation of a new faith. What is certain is that in the centuries following Altman's death, he would be raised up as a prophet of a new world religion known as Unitology, and that Unitology would grow in prominence, eventually surpassing all other forms of worship within human space, filling the spiritual void in people's lives. Their members were encouraged to unabashedly proclaim their faith and carry their message to the non-believers. Their public message was built around social harmony, environmentalism, and community. Yet, behind closed doors, the church worked tirelessly to indoctrinate its members, to bind them to the organization's true work, if not shield them from the truth. The faith's founders saw the purpose of the church as preparing humanity for the coming of another marker, believing that such an event would lead to the next step in human evolution, having borne witness to the fact that the markers could create life, perhaps a flawed life, but one which through human ingenuity could be corrected. An evolution known as convergence, an event which is said to see those living and dead joined into a singular sentience. To this end, death and the treatment of the body in death took on a particular importance to the faithful. Over those centuries, Unitology's growth brought them vast wealth and power, which they used to increase their political and economic influence, gaining seats on corporate boards and in political office. To EarthGov leadership, the movement threatened to undermine social stability, and the faithful would in turn see EarthGov as the source of their oppression. Unitologists would take to using their extensive wealth to wage a propaganda war, finding fertile soil in the minds of many disaffected colonists. Their colonies had been established across thousands of worlds, these colonies beset with too many mouths and not enough resources to go around. As a result, a great effort was made to find worlds that were rich in resources, to crack them open and mine them out, to reduce them to their most essential ores. In one such planet-cracking operation, a familiar device was once more uncovered, a marker. And while that marker would be destroyed, their methods of production would soon be unlocked. EarthGov, driven by a desire to restore faith in the government and securing for their colonies a limitless source of energy, invested heavily in a program to produce their own markers, building them under vast shrouds on countless worlds. These actions were deemed heretical to the Unitologist faith. With tensions mounting, violence became inevitable. The Unitologist Church on Titan Station, a center of learning and communion, initiated a unique rebirthing ceremony in the mines beneath the station's marker. Whether they knew what their actions would rend is largely irrelevant, as the station soon afterwards suffered utter destruction, and in the aftermath of that destruction the faithful redoubled their efforts to spread their gospel. A more militant branch of the faith, known only as the Circle, took this further, going so far as to raise arms against EarthGov. Using their political and economic connections, cells would engage in acts of terror, specifically targeting marker test sites, vowing to bring about convergence through force of arms. Victories on Uxor, Luna, and elsewhere highlighted the weakness of the Earthbound authorities, and a pattern has begun to emerge. Where the markers are liberated, colonies have grown dark, and across all of human space a general feeling of dread seems to be taking hold. Reports of violence, psychosis, and dementia are on the rise. Perhaps this is the beginning of the Great Convergence after all.